everyone, and welcome back. If this is your first time, I hope you'll stay. Espero que te quedes. So before I start, I'd like to say that I am aware that you are in a period where you are preparing for your exams and it can be extremely stressful. So breathe, take your time, plan, and it's all going to be okay. Okay? I hope this is going to help those of you who are doing GCSE or A-level Spanish, mostly for A-level Spanish, because it's a little bit more advanced. But you're more than welcome to watch it if you're in lower school and you just want to get some more vocab in. Okay? Right. So the topic we're looking at today is not our favorite. It is absolutely not our favorite: current affairs. We tend to be a little bit scared of current affairs. This is my opinion. I think that we are scared of current affairs because it encompasses nearly all of the topics, all of the themes that we see in this subject. Okay, but mostly when we think of current affairs, we think la economy, we think la política, politics, we think government, we think newspaper, but it's everything. It's education as well, la educación, it's sport, el deporte, it's people, la gente, it's crime, el crimen. It's absolutely everything. It's science, health, everything. It's music. Current affairs, it affects us all the time. It's what we're living now, in the moment. So, of course, this is everything. It's all the topics. And I think that's why we're a little bit intimidated by it, because there are subjects in there that we just don't feel comfortable discussing. But it's okay. It's okay. Just breathe and we'll get through it, okay? So in this session, it's not supposed to stress you out at all. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by it. And so what I've done is what I always do: break the lesson down in parts. Now, to my right or left, if I turn this way, I've given you some very useful sentences that might help you if you get stuck and you don't know what to say at a particular moment. Then, as usual, I've given you some verbs that are appropriate for this topic, and then I've taken words that pop out the newspaper, pop out the news, okay? Cosas que sueles ver en las noticias, okay? Or in los periódicos, so in the newspaper or on the news, okay? I'm going to start first with these abbreviations here that we see a lot whenever we talk about, whenever we look at the news lately. This is a word you will see a lot, okay? WHO, WHO, which is World Health Organization. Now in Spanish is OSM, Organización Mundial de la Salud, okay? Organización Mundial de la Salud. So this is what it would mean in Spanish. Okay, we just put WHO, they would put OSM, okay? Just so at least you can talk about it, because especially because we're living at a time where we're in a pandemic, and so we're listening to la Organización Mundial de la Salud. Les estamos escuchando para ver lo que nos aconsejan, okay? What advice they give to us. We're listening, okay? Las noticias que vienen de ellos es muy importante, okay? So it's very important information that they're giving us. because obviously they have the scientists, they're investigating, and so it's in our interest to know who they are. Okay, la Organización Mundial de la Salud. Perhaps something that you'll need to talk about. Okay, so I'm just equipping you with the vocabulary, so at least you can string a couple of sentences together. Okay. All right. Another popular word that you'll see a lot is NATO. Okay. In Spanish they say OTAN. If you're not quite sure what this organization is, please look it up. Okay. Look it up, and at least you'll probably have something to talk about. Okay, but we see this over and over again. We hear it on the news. So if you don't know what they are, who they are, what they do, I'm inviting you now to have a little look, because I don't want to go into loads of details and make this video way too long. Okay, World Bank is very central to us and our lives, and so you hear this a lot. This is quite an easy one. El Banco Mundial. Okay, note it down. El Banco Mundial. Okay, again, if you don't know the significance, have a little bit of research session after this. Okay, Amnesty International. Again, a word you hear a lot, and perhaps we don't know as much about it. Go and see, what do they do? Amnesty International. Okay, right? Quite a similar translation. Now, some new vocab for you, and we hear this a lot: fake news. Okay, fake news. I also hear that word being translated not being translated into Spanish, even though it means noticias falsas. Noticias falsas, fake news. But I do also hear Spanish people to say, eso pues es fake news, okay? But it's noticias falsas. There's a lot of that around as well. So that gives you a point of conversation. We've all had experience with that, where we've read something and we really believed it to be true, and then it turns out it was fake news. Okay, right. This word I also read in a text yesterday in an online newspaper, and it said cancel culture. I'm hearing the expression cancel culture left, right, and center. Now, this is relatively new for someone like me, or it's a new concept, the cancel culture. I never knew what it was before. It's new, and so because it's so new, people here don't really know what it is. Okay, if you translate it, it will be la cultura de la cancelación. But I think if you say it in Spanish, no one would really understand it, especially if you were to say it in Spain. Okay, because I literally had to explain to my Spanish colleagues what it was. We use it a lot more in our, I want to say in our country, but in the English-speaking world, cancel culture. Okay, right. So if you're using cancel culture, I will just say it in English. Okay, teoría de la conspiración. Okay, so conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory. Can you see this? Conspiracy theory. Okay, right. Okay. So, all right. So, I was talking to someone maybe a month ago about this word, la trata, because she wanted to express the dealings, the experience that she had in the bank, and she said la trata instead of el trato, the way she was treated. El trato, she was supposed to say el trato no fue muy bueno, but she said la trata no fue muy buena. Now, trato is treatment. La trata, which is very relevant to the subject, is human trafficking. Now, we have a problem with this. It's a social issue that affects us on an international level, and it affects many, many people. La trata. Please remember that and make sure that you're putting it in the right genre, in the right in the right sex, rather, okay? That you're making it the right gender, not sex, the right gender, to make sure it means human trafficking. It's an easy mistake to make. El trato, la trata. Completely different things, but a simple letter changes the meaning completely. Okay? So, human trafficking, la trata. T-R-A-T-A. Brilliant. I hope I haven't lost you. Have I lost you? Okay, next one that we have on our lista de sustantivos es robo. El robo. Robbery. Okay, that's a nice one for you. El robo. Jot that one down. Okay? One that I've seen with you, especially older kids, is this. El chantaje. Chantaje. El chantaje, which is bribery. Now, you might have seen the verb chantajear, which would be to blackmail, okay? Or to bribe. Chantajear. You add an AR and it would be the verb, okay? But because we're looking at nouns, el chantaje is bribe, okay? Bribery. Perfect. And then we're going to go on to the last word we have on this list, which is el contrabando. El contrabando is smuggling, okay? We often hear people smuggling illegal substances or animals across borders or into other countries, okay? So that's, okay? Or even people. So, yeah. And now let's go over and I'm going to give you some expressions that I think some sentences that I think are going to be useful for you, okay? Right. And as I said, don't worry. You don't need to worry. We already have so much stress that revision shouldn't be something else that we add to our plate, okay? Take your time. You can always come back to this video. You don't have to do it this week, okay? Right. So, as I said at the beginning of the lesson, of the video, a lot of us struggle to find things to talk about when they say temas de la actualidad. Temas de actualidad. Repeat. Temas de actualidad. Current affairs. So perhaps, like many of my students, you don't have a clue about what to say. And by my students, I don't mean just British students, I mean Spanish students as well. They do struggle. And so it's a problem area for us. So, since a lot of times we don't know what to say, I've given you 3 sentences here that I think it would be good for you to learn and have them down just in case you need to take them out of your pocket and use them, okay? So the first one is, es importante que estemos al día de los temas de actualidad, okay? Again, es importante que estemos al día de los temas de actualidad. And what that means is that it's important for us to keep up with current affairs. Okay, so for us to be updated, so we know, so we are able to talk about what's going on around us. Okay, so that's a good one for you to know. Write it down. Es importante que estemos, subjunctive, al día de los temas de actualidad. Okay, right. So it's important for us to keep up with current affairs. Now, the second one is just us being brutally honest. You don't know about it, and it's okay. We're not going to kill you for it. No estoy al día de los temas de actualidad. Y quiero cambiar eso. Okay? That's just being honest. Saying, I don't keep up with current affairs, and I'd like to change that. Okay? Maybe after this sentence you'd like to add, I'm very interested in, and then you add an area that you're interested in, and maybe you'd like to find out more about what's going on in education, or in las ciencias, or in el desarrollo in the development of whatever area you're interested in. Okay, so think about it. Okay, this is supposed to get you thinking. What would you be interested in talking about? Okay, So, no estoy al día de los temas de actualidad y quiero cambiar eso. Okay? Los temas, I missed out the day here. Okay? So yeah, there's nothing wrong with being honest. And in an exam, I'll tell you this. You will never really get marked down for not knowing a subject because they're testing your Spanish level. So the most important thing is that you're actually talking. You don't just stand there in complete silence, because then that's a negative thing. Okay, so we're going to try not to make any long pauses or leave anything unanswered, right? Okay, and the last one is, muy poca gente de mi edad en general sabe de los sucesos de actualidad. Okay, so what he's saying is, very few people, muy poca gente, very few people, de mi edad, my age, de mi edad, my age, en general, we know that in general, sabe de los sucesos de actualidad. So, very few people my age generally know. Okay, so, en general, sabe. So, generally know de los sucesos de actualidad. So, very few people nowadays, in general, keep up with current affairs or know what's going on with current affairs. Okay? Muy poca gente de mi edad. Very few people my age. Okay. Can you see? Here? Yep. Okay, perhaps not so much here. Okay, let's leave it here. Okay, so the verbs. Cometer, we've seen in other topics. Cometer, to commit. Okay, commit a crime, cometer un crimen. Okay, huir de is when you flee, you escape. That's a good verb to know, to flee or to escape. Brilliant stuff. This is a nice one for you. Forzar la entrada. Forzar la entrada. To break in. This is one that looks a bit like ours. Investigar. La investigación. To investigate. Okay, we're running into that. Let's do it round. Investigate. Okay, brilliant. Deny. To deny, can you remember what to deny means? To deny? Deny can mean to refuse, to refuse, or also it can mean that, okay, so negar, you would have probably seen as to deny, or to refuse. You might refuse entry to somewhere. Negar or deny. You deny having done something. Okay? Now, the next one is secuestrar. We would have seen this as to kidnap. But did you know that it also means to hijack? So when terrorists hijack a plane, this is the word you would use. To hijack. Okay? That's a good one for you to remember. Okay? We often see this in the news. When we're watching the news, we see these horrible things taking places, and obviously we'd not want to be in those situations. Okay, capturar, to capture. They captured the thieves, capturaron los ladrones. And the last one, which is confesar, which looks like our version. So, confesaron todo, to confess. Okay? And so these are some of the verbs that you will often see when you're watching the news or you're reading a newspaper or whatever it might be. And they are very relevant when it comes to talking about current affairs. Temas de actualidad. Okay? Don't be scared. It's just another topic. Find something that you can use, whether it's some generic sentences that will help you out, because we all have areas where we're not so strong. We all have weak areas. Don't worry, just know what your weak areas are and be prepared. And I am here to help you out. And so with that, I am going to leave you guys. Have a fantastic, I've always got chalk all over me. Have a fantastic rest of the day, and I will see you soon. Now, adios.